Picture the exact moment the sun disappears behind the horizon, 10,000 years before electricity, before candles, before even the simplest oil lamp. Nothing. No light source for hundreds of miles except whatever fire your group manages to keep alive. You'd assume the next move is obvious. Lie down, close your eyes, wait for morning. But the actual behavior of early humans during those dark hours looks almost nothing like that. Start with sleep itself, because even that wasn't what you'd expect. Researcher Carol Worthman spent years studying sleep among hunter-gatherer communities whose daily rhythms still echo how humans lived for the overwhelming majority of their existence on this planet. Her findings dismantled a popular myth. There was no single block of unbroken rest. Instead, people drifted in and out. They woke in the middle of the night, murmured to each other in low voices, drifted back into sleep, woke again. Total rest time stayed around 9 hours, but fractured into pieces rather than one continuous stretch. Here's the strange part. What you call insomnia today, that frustrating 3 a.m. wakefulness, may simply be your body trying to run its original ancient operating system in a world that no longer matches it. If people weren't sleeping straight through, what filled those gaps? Conversation. Specifically, a very particular kind of conversation. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner documented daily life among the Juhwanzi people of southern Africa and noticed a sharp divide between what got discussed in daylight versus what got discussed after dark. Daytime conversation revolved around survival logistics, where food was located, disagreements over shared resources, practical complaints about who had contributed less to a recent hunt. Once night fell and the fire was lit, the subject matter transformed entirely. People shifted toward mythology, ancestral histories, tales involving distant relatives, far-off places, supernatural forces, explanations for how the world came to exist. By Wiesner's measurements, storytelling consumed roughly a third of all nighttime talk, while during daylight hours it barely registered at all. This matters more than it might seem. Before written language existed, fire-lit storytelling functioned as humanity's primary data transfer system. A grandmother could compress decades of hard-won knowledge, which predator to avoid, which plant kills you, which neighboring group betrayed an ally generations ago, into a single evening's tale, absorbed instantly by every child listening. You still carry a faded version of this instinct. Notice how dinner table small talk about bills and schedules tends to give way, once it gets dark outside, to something more personal, more vulnerable. Darkness has always loosened people's guard in a way daylight doesn't. There's a darker reason behind all this stillness and clustering, though, and it has nothing to do with comfort. Night meant exposure to predators that could see you far better than you could see them. Lions, hyenas, leopards, animals engineered by evolution for low-light hunting, while human night vision remains comparatively useless. So once darkness arrived, motion essentially stopped. Nobody slipped away from camp to find water or relieve themselves. Bodies stayed packed together, less for warmth and more because a tight group presented a far harder target than an isolated sleeper at the edge of camp. Then fire entered the picture, and the entire equation shifted. Sometime around 400,000 years ago, possibly earlier, humans achieved consistent control over fire. That control didn't just mean warmth. It meant an artificial extension of safe, usable time into hours that had previously been pure danger. Primatologist Richard Wrangham has proposed that mastering fire reshaped more than just cooking habits. It reorganized the entire social structure of the day. Labor dominated daylight, while the firelit hours after sunset became dedicated space for bonding, teaching, and cultural transmission. Consider what that single flame actually represented. It was the only light in an otherwise lightless world, the only heat in the cold, the only barrier between a group and the predators circling just beyond its glow. In a very real sense, that fire functioned as humanity's original screen. That comparison might sound like a stretch, It isn't. Right now, you do a nearly identical thing every single night. Lying in bed, the last image your eyes lock onto before sleep is a glowing rectangle, pulsing with color and motion, exactly the way flickering flames once captured attention for hours. Sleep researchers have noted that screen exposure before bed disrupts circadian rhythms, partly because the human brain never evolved alongside steady, even artificial light. It evolved around firelight, irregular, warm-toned, dim, mimicking the colors of a setting sun rather than midday brightness. That's part of why blue light from your phone keeps you alert, while orange, fire-toned light tells your nervous system it's time to slow down. Biologically, you're still tuned to a world that vanished thousands of years ago. One more thing those long, dark hours produced. Something easy to overlook. Boredom. No artificial lighting. No endless list of distractions. Just firelight, darkness, and other people. Long, unstructured stretches of time with nothing scheduled. Psychological research on enforced boredom consistently finds the same pattern. When minds have nothing to occupy them, they default to storytelling, imagination, and reflection. It's an uncomfortable state, but a generative one. Much of early human mythology likely emerged precisely from these blank, firelit hours when there was genuinely nothing else to do. You almost never tolerate that kind of empty space today. The instant boredom appears, a screen fills it. But the underlying urge, the pull to fill dark, quiet time with narrative of some kind, is ancient. The content changed from ancestral myths to scrolling feeds. The impulse didn't. Now hold the whole picture together. Sunsets, all movement halts. Somewhere beyond the firelight, animals with better night vision are watching. A single fire holds back the dark for one small circle of people. Inside that circle, nobody is simply resting. They're talking, transmitting identity, origin, danger, explanation, all wrapped inside stories that children absorb without realizing they're being educated. When sleep finally arrives, it won't last the night uninterrupted. It'll come in fragments punctuated by quiet, wakeful stretches, maybe more murmured conversation, maybe just listening to the fire pop and whatever's moving in the dark beyond its reach. Repeat that exact pattern. Vigilance, fire, narrative, fractured sleep across hundreds of thousands of nights. And you get something carved deep into the human nervous system that hasn't disappeared just because the danger has. It's why a campfire still feels different from a kitchen light. It's why a story told in the dark lands harder than the same story read under fluorescent bulbs. It's why nighttime silence carries a kind of weight that daytime silence never quite manages. The predators are gone. Your home has locks, your street has lamps, your phone has a built-in flashlight. Yet the part of you shaped by all those firelit nights hasn't gotten the memo. So the next time you flip a switch and flood a room with instant light, consider what that motion is quietly replacing. It's replacing fire. It's replacing fear. It's replacing a circle of people, voices low, handing down everything they knew before the darkness made anything else impossible.